You are in direct violation of Section 3B. I demand you cease operations immediately.
We have the approved permits right here.
At 5:58 p.m. on July 19, 2024, I heard fast footsteps slap on wetboards and the dock gate rattle like someone was trying to shake it off the hinges. The air smelled like lake water and sunscreen, and the wood under my sandals was still damp from a quick afternoon storm. Then she came charging down the walkway, hair perfect, face red, waving a clipboard like a sword. Behind her, two neighbors froze mid-cast, fishing lines hanging in the air. She jabbed a finger at my cooler and barked, "You don't get to be here. You're behind on dues." I blinked at her like she'd just accused me of stealing the moon. In my head, one ridiculous sentence formed, clean and sharp: "Karen stormed my dock over our unpaid dues, good thing I'm their landlord backed by the stamped seal." This wasn't about a few late dollars. It was about control. The dock is on my parcel. Not shared. The HOA uses it because they rent it. And she was acting like she personally invented the shoreline. I tried to keep it calm, because I don't like scenes and I really don't like being yelled at in front of kids with fishing poles. I said, "Ma'am, I'm not stopping anyone from using the dock. I'm just sitting here." She snapped, "You are delinquent and you're trespassing. Pay your dues or leave." I asked for the account statement and the rule she was enforcing. She smiled like she enjoyed the question too much and said, "Board already voted." Then she leaned in and hissed, "I can have you removed." That night at 8:40 p.m., an email hit my inbox with 3 bold words in the subject line: "Final notice." It claimed I owed $900 in special assessments and added a fine for unauthorized dock use, which was honestly impressive, considering the dock is literally on land I own. I replied with one sentence asking for receipts and the vote minutes. No response. At the next HOA meeting on July 23, people avoided my eyes. The board rep stared at his laptop. The chair tapped her pen and said, "Next item." Like my name was a swear word. I went home angry, then got quiet on purpose. I promised myself I would use proper channels only. No yelling matches. No petty stunts. Smart and boring would win. On July 24, I opened a fresh binder and started collecting everything. I lined up photos, emails, and call logs in a binder. I saved the threatening email, my reply, and the delivery confirmation. I printed the HOA's ledger, which somehow had charges with no invoices attached. Timeline Item 1 July 19 at 5:58 p.m. Dock confrontation and trespass threat by HOA committee member. After that, I wrote down every date they contacted me and every dollar they claimed I owed. On July 26, I drove to the county records office, the one with the metal detector and the stale coffee smell that lives in the hallway forever. At the clerk counter, I requested the original waterfront parcel deed, the dock easement records, and the lease agreement recorded when the neighborhood was built. The clerk disappeared behind a door and came back with a thick stamped packet. The file landed with 63 pages. There it was, clear as daylight: the HOA was the tenant for the dock access area, and my company was the landlord. The last page had a stamped seal, the kind you can feel with your fingertip. On July 27 at 10:12 a.m., I flew my drone over the shoreline, slow and careful, staying above my own property lines. The sun hit the water like broken glass, and the dock shadow sat exactly where the plat map said it would. You could see the boundary stakes from the last survey, the walkway, and the little gate the HOA bragged about. I grabbed still photos, then matched them to the recorded map. It was almost funny how simple it looked from above. On paper, it looked like law. In the air, it looked like truth. Either way, it wasn't theirs to seize. I sent a certified letter of my own on July 29, polite and firm, addressed to the board, not to her ego. It asked them to correct my account, remove the dock fine, and stop sending delinquency claims without invoices. I included copies of the lease cover page and the stamped seal page, with sensitive numbers covered. I also offered a sit-down with a neutral mediator through the county dispute program. I wasn't trying to ban anyone from anything. I just wanted them to stop pretending they could punish me on my own land. They doubled down instead, because of course they did. On August 2 at 6:17 p.m., I got a notice that my dock privileges were revoked and a new fine was added for non-compliance. The next morning, at 7:05 a.m., a deputy showed up at my door after someone reported a man refusing to leave a private dock. The deputy was tired, not angry. I walked him to my truck and showed him the stamped lease page and the parcel map. He studied it, then sighed and said, "This looks like a civil dispute, but filing false reports is not a game. Patterns of false reports can be prosecuted." He made a note, gave me the call number, and drove off while my neighbor watched from behind a curtain. The payoff came fast, and it came in public. On August 8 at 9:00 a.m., the county mediator held a hearing in a plain room with beige walls and a table that wobbled. The HOA president arrived with the board rep and a stack of papers that looked impressive until you realized none of it had seals. The woman from the dock came too, sitting tall like she expected applause. The mediator asked one simple question: who owns the parcel? I slid the deed and lease across the table, stamped and recorded, along with the drone photo showing the dock footprint inside my boundary. The board rep's face went flat. The mediator turned to them and said, "You cannot fine a landlord for being on their own property." Outside that room, the reaction spread like heat through pavement. People didn't shout. They whispered, and that somehow felt louder. In the parking lot, two neighbors held phones at chest level, recording quietly. Someone murmured, "So the dock isn't even HOA land?" Another replied, "Then what else is HOA land that isn't?" The group chat lit up with screenshots of agenda items and timestamps. A guy wrote, "I'm saving every notice now." A mom wrote, "Can we audit the assessments?" Someone else posted, "I always wondered why the lease line was in the budget." One older neighbor walked up to me and said, "I'm sorry we acted scared. I just didn't want a target on my back." I nodded, because I understood. Fear makes a whole street go silent. The authority flip landed on August 14 at 2:20 p.m. in writing, which is the best kind of flip. The county mediator issued a decision that the dock fine was invalid, the delinquency claim was unsupported, and the HOA had to reverse all related charges on my account. The letter also warned the board that using threats of law enforcement to enforce civil HOA disputes could trigger penalties. The mediator cited the recorded lease, the deed, and the lack of invoices for the special assessments. He noted that the HOA's own budget listed lease payments, proving they knew they were tenants. He required them to send a correction notice to all 104 homes and to adopt a clear policy: no fines without evidence and a real hearing. Right after that, you could feel something snap in the community, like a rubber band finally giving up. People stopped hunching their shoulders when the board walked by. At the next HOA meeting, folks sat upright and kept their hands visible, phones on the table, recording like accountants. The board rep asked for patience, and someone calmly asked for documents. The woman from the dock tried to speak over a homeowner, and 3 people said, "Let them finish." Nobody clapped for me. That wasn't the point. The point was the bully losing oxygen. Not because anyone screamed her down, but because everyone started asking the same quiet question: "Show me the paper." After that, peace returned in small, solid steps. On August 20, the HOA emailed a corrected ledger showing a zero balance for the bogus charges, plus a refund of $300 for fees they'd already pulled. The dock committee member resigned to focus on family, and the chair stopped pretending she was a judge. The board scheduled an open financial review, and for the first time, people actually showed up. Kids came back to fish without adults scanning the walkway for trouble. One Saturday, a neighbor brought extra bait and handed it to my niece like we'd been friends for years. That warmth beat mattered more than any letter. And inside the neighborhood, the second shift kept building, steady and quiet. People started keeping folders. Not to be paranoid, but to be prepared. Homeowners asked for contracts before voting on budgets. The board began posting meeting minutes within a week because they knew someone would request them anyway. Conversations changed, too. Instead of whispering, neighbors compared notes in daylight. Someone who used to defend every fine said, "Maybe we should question things." Phones still appeared, but now it was normal, like taking a picture of your receipt after a big purchase. The dock felt like a shared space again, not a stage for intimidation. The spell broke, and nobody wanted it back. On September 1, 2024, I sat on the end of the dock at sunrise with a thermos of coffee, listening to water tap the pilings like slow applause. I opened my binder, checked the stamped seal page one last time, and slid it back into its sleeve. The funniest part is I never wanted to be anyone's landlord in this story. I just wanted a quiet place to watch the lake and let neighbors enjoy it too. Paper did what shouting never could. It put limits back where they belong. If you enjoyed this, hit like, subscribe, and share. Was the HOA wrong? Drop a comment.